Michael Savage has now won potentially another major victory in his battle against the British government. We have just found out through Michael Savage's producers, and you can go to michaelsavage.com to get a lot of the details, is that now the famous Cambridge Union, the oldest debating society in England, a debating society that has hosted the likes of Ronald Reagan, Theodore Roosevelt, and Winston Churchill, has now asked for Michael Savage to debate an opponent on the issue of whether political correctness is sane and necessary. And as they point out in their invitation to Michael, they now want Michael to give his side of the story regarding his ban in England. And for those of you that haven't been living on planet Earth for the last several months, Michael has been officially banned from entering the United Kingdom, from entering Great Britain, due to a blacklist issued by the former Home Secretary Jackie Smith. And on that list, if you can believe it, are leaders of Hamas, leaders of Islamic terrorists, leaders of Russian gangs, Russian fascist gangs, skinheads. You have people who have called for the murder of Jews and Americans, people with blood on their hands. And as we have found out over the last several weeks, particularly from the British press, is that Michael Savage was deliberately picked out of a hat to put a conservative white male to, quote, have balance, unquote, against all the other Islamist extremists that are on that list. In other words, they have deliberately targeted this man, smeared and slandered his reputation. And more than that, by putting his name beside these murderous thugs, these people that strap themselves with dynamite and blow themselves up to kill Jewish women and children in school buses in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, as his name has been put alongside theirs, there is now a giant target on Michael's back. By doing this, it is an open invitation for some crazed left-winger to attack Michael Savage or his family and, God forbid, maybe even kill him. This is what they are trying to do to this man. And at its core, this issue is not about Michael Savage. And I have to really stress this point, because the last time I was on, I defended Michael against this ban, and I urged all of you out there to continue to support Michael's struggle. And the question I asked was, why were prominent conservative talk show hosts not defending Michael Savage? Why were they not standing up for freedom of speech? Because this is blatant censorship. This is an assault on a conservative man and on his conservative ideas. It is an attempt to blackball him and blacklist him, to marginalize him and delegitimize conservative opinion. This is censorship. This is an assault on freedom of expression and freedom of speech. And yet all of the big gun conservative talk show hosts, people, frankly, with even lesser ratings than Michael Savage, but who should be defending freedom of speech, have stood silent, especially Fox News. Why? And I got a lot of emails after the show saying, well, Michael insults people like Rush Limbaugh, or he insults Sean Hannity, or he insults all of these other conservative talk show hosts. So why would they rush to his defense? Here's why. Because freedom is not a partisan issue. Because I don't care if he's insulted your mother or your grandmother. Freedom of speech is a sacred, inviolable right. It is a fundamental human right. And what the British government is doing is a profound assault on democracy. And so everybody, especially in the media, where freedom of speech and freedom of expression are paramount, this is the currency that we cater in. This is our lifeblood. We should be standing up for Michael Savage. And let me just say this. This is about Michael, and I don't want to make this about me. But my parents come from Eastern Europe. And let me be very frank with you. They suffered under concentration camps, and especially my grandparents. Most of my family were wiped out by the communists. And I had to go to university. And when I was at university, I had university professors teach me and other students in my class that communism was a good thing. That Stalin, in fact, wasn't a mass murderer. that in fact the murder of my ancestors, the fact that my father was in a concentration camp, the fact that my grandfather spent 3 years in a camp, that was a good thing, because that was an experiment in social engineering. That was an experiment for socialism, for social justice. And so as they put it, you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. I never once in my mind thought that this professor should be censored, or that his thoughts should not be allowed, or that somehow he shouldn't have academic freedom. What I argued was they should get the other point of view. They should hear about the gulags and the mass murders and the atrocities and the poverty. But I never once said, no, this man should be banned from entering the campus. This man should not be allowed to speak his thoughts. Because I am a conservative. I believe in fundamental rights, and I believe in freedom. What the British government is doing is an assault on freedom. And every decent person, right, center, or left, whether you've been attacked by Savage or not been attacked by Savage, should rally around him, because his fight is our fight. And so now, Michael, I think, has to make one of the biggest decisions of his life. Will he now address the Cambridge Union? Will he now address this ban head on? Because he could very easily say no. You have smeared me. You have slandered me. You have tried to destroy my reputation. I want nothing to do with you. For God's sakes, why should I come and debate the Cambridge Union Society? Why should I give even any credence or credibility to any British institution? I believe that Michael will attend. And here's why. Because this is now a golden opportunity for him. Now, can he attend in person? I don't think so. I don't think the ban is going to be lifted. That means Michael will have to then talk via video link. But he will be there. They will see his picture. They will see his face. And most importantly, they will hear his words. And they will hear from this man that he has never incited hatred. He has never incited murder. In fact, he is a principled nationalist conservative. He stands for God, country, and family. He stands against the onslaught of illegal immigration. He stands against radical Islam. He stands for free market capitalism. He stands for a pro-life culture that celebrates marriage and family and the innocent and the unborn. He is a conservative warrior. And he is somebody who I believe will smash his leftist opponent. And he will reveal the British government to be the fraud and the sham that they are, the cowards that they are. And my friends, there is precedent here. In 1934, not the Cambridge Union, but the Oxford Union invited Sir Winston Churchill to address their students. Because the question before then was very similar to the question before us. Make no mistake about it. Churchill was asked, should we fight for king and country? And the Oxford Union then declared in 1934, when Nazism was surging, when Hitler was now spreading his wings, and now implementing his fascist revolution, and Mussolini was tightening his grip on power in Italy, as the fascist support surged and surged and surged across Europe, there was one man who rose up, one man who had the courage. And people in England, like today, were desperate for appeasement. And so the Oxford Union said, we will not fight for king and country. This is our motion. And Churchill was so disgusted, was so ashamed of his fellow countrymen, that he went to the Oxford Union and he spoke to those 500 students. And he said, shame on you. Generations will look back and they will say that this was not England's finest hour, but its worst hour. We must stand for freedom and democracy, and we must stare evil in the face and call it for what it is. And on that night, Winston Churchill lost that debate. Most of the students sided with the liberal pacifists, with the cowards, with the appeasers. But his words stood the test of time. And eventually, history moved in Churchill's direction, and he was vindicated as a hero and as a man of immense courage. I believe that this is now the moment for Michael Savage. I believe that now this is his moment. to now speak truth to power, and to now say we are confronting the greatest evil of our time, and it is radical Islam. It is jihadism and Islamic fundamentalism. They are winning in Afghanistan. They are winning in Iraq. They are on the verge of a bomb in Iran. They are now taking over city by city, town by town, everywhere across Europe. And yet you in England, as in the 1930s, are hiding with your heads buried in the sand. But there is one man, Michael Savage, who will stand up and speak the truth. So my question to all of you, my friends, is, do you think Michael Savage should speak to the Cambridge Union? Do you think he should go by video link and defend himself? Or do you think this is a setup? Do you think that he is going to be smeared and heckled and demonized and attacked and ridiculed? This is Jeff Kuhner sitting in for the living legend, Michael Savage, on the Savage Nation. Savage.